Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. This is the Sunday video for Math 100 on October 4th, 2020. And speaking of 2020, you have only 3 more months to go in this sort of a weird and strange year. Maybe some of you may want to forget this, but we have 3 more months to go in this year. And as far as the semester is going, this is we have finished 6 weeks of it, and we have 10 more weeks to go, right? Just in a couple of weeks, we'll be right at the halfway line. And, that means that we are, we are almost halfway through the semester. All right. So I will be telling you what you were expected to do this past week and what you'll be doing this week. But I'd like to do so by sharing the screen with you. All right. So here we go. Okay, I know that your Canvas shell looks slightly different because you have a student view and I have the instructor view, but you were in this past week to cover lessons 8 and 9. Lesson 7 was the lesson that was the very beginning of chapter 3 on financial calculation. This past week, you had 2 lessons, lesson 8 on saving money and lesson 9 on borrowing money. Okay, and so, and I will be explaining to you once again which formulas you need to know and which ones you don't for the exams. Basically, for homework, you need to use all of those, even the fairly complicated ones from section lessons 8 and 9. Okay, but again, I hope you there was a little confusion about which homework exercises to do. So to clarify, because a few people are asking me about those things, to clarify, I sent everybody an announcement. I hope you have received it and have a list of homework problems to do. Now, just in case you still don't know this, all right? So every lesson, see, this one lesson is called a module. A module is a block that you see in your Canvas shell, right? And I have one module for each lesson. Lesson 9 is the last one you covered or you studied. And, the first one here, the first item of this module is basically the blank notes that you are to fill in as you take your, as you watch your videos, right? And so when you click on the second item, this is the one that's called the lesson page. This is the lesson 9 page. And this is exactly where you see your video clips or the links to them. You can watch the videos right here, right, from these pages. And I hope that as you watch these, you are taking notes, right, as you are instructed. And if you're ever confused about which homework exercise to do, I know that I listed these exercises all together on your syllabus, but I have changed this last part. I did this a couple of weeks ago. I mentioned this in last Sunday as well, but you have section 2 and section 4 of chapter 3 are covered in this lesson. Now, I know it's a little confusing because sometimes one lesson covers more than one section. Sometimes one section is covered by more than one lesson, like lesson 8 on saving and lesson 9 on borrowing, unfortunately, are covered in one section of the book, which is section 3.3. Okay, so if you are ever in doubt, look at the last few lines of the page, the lesson page. Okay, each lesson page does list the problems corresponding to that particular lesson. And you can see the homework, all right? So if I'm going to go back to the previous view, I can just click on the back button of your browser. And then, so lesson 9 was the one I was just talking about. Oops, it's way up here. Sorry, I hope you don't get motion sickness here. But lesson 9 was what we were just talking about. And here is the key, but this is not the homework key, right? This is how you fill in the blanks on your notes, as well as the key for the worksheet. All right, now the worksheet, this is the hard copy of the worksheet. And this is the online version, which has the same problems, but this is the one that you actually take online for immediate feedback. Notice here, it's only 1 point each time, but remember you have like 20 of these worksheets all throughout the semester, okay? And then you have this key, homework key for lesson 9. Remember those problems I just listed as your homework exercises for lesson 9? Well, these are the solutions to those problems. And these will show you step-by-step ways of solving these problems. So I hope you are making use of these things. Now, because you just finished chapter 3, at the end of lesson 9, I have this homework item, and this is, of course, the portal. This is where you go to scan and upload your homework for chapter 3. Okay, so I hope it's all clear. And this coming week, you are to do, of course, the next 2 lessons, lesson 10 and lesson 11. Both are about probabilities, okay? And this is, the first one is on sections 4.1 and 4.2. The next one, lesson 11, is on 4.3 and 4.4. And because these 2 lessons cover the entire chapter, chapter 4, the following week, okay, the Monday, October 12th, you will have another homework set due, and that will be for chapter 4. Now remember, tomorrow, Monday, the 5th, you do have your homework due for chapter 3. Okay, and I know it's being kind of fast, but you had, actually a couple of weeks since your last test, and these formulas could be complicated. Some of these problems may take some time, but I hope you will be able to finish it by the end of tomorrow and turn this in. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about Canvas, from the Canvas, and I will also want to show you specifically which formulas to learn for your exams from those financial calculations. All right, so I hope you have seen this. This is what your notes should look like after you watched lesson number 7, those 2-part videos, a 2-part video lesson. And you notice that I gave you first the formula for compound interest when the compounding is happening annually, right? And then on the next page, I explained to you how to find the compound interest when the compounding happens more than once, such as monthly and quarterly and even daily. And then we had one more formula where, and it's this one here, where you had, okay, so I'm talking about this one right here. Oops, that's not the way I was going to show it. Right, so this is the formula for what? Continuous compounding, right? So you do need to, of course, use all of these. You probably have used these to solve your homework questions. And all of these are required, and you should know these things as you prepare for the test number 2. I know it's not for a while, but these will be part of your exam, right? And I keep telling you that there are complicated formulas that you do not need to know. So let me show you which ones I'm talking about, just to make sure we all understand this. Lesson 8, okay, this is about annuities, saving money with a series of equal monthly deposits. And so we have this formula, okay? Now this is a complicated formula because what you are doing is to add, you are adding the same amount of money, that's your bunch of payments, okay, usually monthly payments, deposited at different points in time. And remember, all of these have to be added up right here, okay? And that's what makes it difficult. And this is based on the what is called the geometric series in mathematics. This formula you will need to use for your homework a couple of times, but you do not need to memorize this or use it for your exam, okay? And then when you went to lesson 9, this is lesson 9 on, remember, probably I said this may be the most important lesson in all of your math class this semester, because it could help you save hundreds of thousands of dollars in your life, you know, with mortgages. And so you had this present value formula, which was a very long formula, okay? So this one, same thing, you do not need to know or memorize this for the test, even though you will have to use this a few times as you do your homework. And then there's another formula, which is basically the same thing, but this one will help you find the amount of your monthly payment when you are borrowing a lot of money. And that's called P naught. Right? That's the amount of the loan. But this formula, same thing. You do not have to memorize this or use it on your homework, on your test. But you do need to know, use this a couple of times. So learn how to use your calculator to do sort of complicated computations like this one, but I will not have you do that on your exam. All right, so I hope it's all clear, which ones you need to know and which ones you don't, so that you don't get overly frustrated about how many formulas to memorize. The whole intention of this course is really not to have you memorize anything unless, it's really essential. And the reason I'm asking you to learn the compound interest formula from lesson 7, these, is because this is basically exponential growth, which we will be covering again after the next test, right? And so this actually makes sense. This is not just about memorizing, but this is about understanding the exponential growth and the nature of such growth. And that's why I'm having you learn this. So I hope this is clear. All right, and just another reminder that you are to do your homework by hand. I would like to see a lot of handwriting as you continue to do these problems. I do have my weekly office hours still scheduled on Zoom, Mondays and Thursdays, every Monday and every Thursday from 1 p.m. to 2:30 or by appointment. So let me know if these time blocks do not work, and I'll be happy to set up an appointment with you, okay? And we'll be able to see each other, and I can, share the screen on Zoom so I can show you how to do problems. New study groups have been formed. The old ones are gone now. And so reach out to your classmates. I know it's kind of hard to do and maybe uncomfortable at the beginning, but your classmates can share a lot of information, and you can learn so much by either learning from or teaching to your classmates as well. All right, so it's October, and that means we have baseball classics, and of course our local team, well, at least one of them, the blue one, is in playoffs, at least right now as I speak. So I hope you, enjoy. I know it's pretty hot for summer, but we'll hope that things will cool down, and I hope you have a great week. All right, so with that, I will let you go, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, see you. Bye.